Hey guys, welcome to today's Figure Friday, the second episode. That's pretty much it. So, welcome to second episode of Figure Friday, and today we're doing Reilly Method on a standing pose facing us and with a contrapposto pose. So just to get started here on the supplies, using the Pro Art brand of the smooth newsprint. And this is very important to get the smooth version of the newsprint. It works best with this pencil, the 1710B Conte Paris, and of course I got the Kneaded Eraser. The Pro Art, you don't have to get this one, it's just cheaper for me. It's about $6 cheaper than the Strathmore. And today, let me zoom on this bad boy here. I'm using a different camera, so hopefully this is a lot better than what I've been using. I think it is. And there we go. So today we just I went over the basics of using the Reilly method to block in the figure. So you can see all the rhythm lines and stuff like that, and it looks kind of complex and everything, but it's just a stepwise process to build up the figure. So we start off with the head, and then we build up the wireframe, and then start fleshing it out. So it's just a nice little exercise. Give it a try. And oh, another thing, on the Patreon page, so apparently you can't search my name. If you try to search it on the Patreon app or website, I don't exist, and that's because for some reason they have it coded that if your page is adult content, like 18 and over, they won't show your name in the search engine. So that kind of sucks for me and everybody else, all my friends who do videos like this as well. So you'll have to go through the actual link that I have, like let's say underneath this video, or like on Instagram and stuff like that. But you can't search me. So if some of you commented that you've been trying and you couldn't find me, that's why. So it's unfortunate, but whatever, that's just the way it is. So hope you have fun with this one. Draw along with me, let me know how it goes, and support me if you can, and have a great day, guys. Happy Friday. Man, I really love sketching little figures like this, like as an exercise. It's just, I don't know, it's like liberating, because I know it's just for an exercise, and it's not like a big finished portrait or a big finished figure drawing. So that's kind of how you want to think about it on these. They're just practice. So we're gonna start off with just the head shape. She has a very narrow, kind of long face, and so just for now we're just going to sketch it in. I'm not going to put all the features in or anything like that, because I might make it a little bit bigger later or smaller depending on my needs as we proceed through. So I'm just going to get the basic, the thirds of the face, maybe the points where the mouth is. And so next we're looking at, I'm going to start with the pit of the neck. So she's twisting and turning a little bit, and it's not straight underneath her chin, it's off to the side, maybe about right there. So I'm going to take this rhythm from the side of the neck, and that's going to represent the sternocleidomastoid muscle, and then the other side as well. And then I'll just pull down from there. So now we have the basic shape of her neck. I'm going to come up here and just kind of make her face a little bit more narrow. Let's see. It's hard because portraits is like the thing I love the most. so if I'm sketching even on a figure, I'll get stuck in on sketching the actual face versus focusing on the figure. Figure is way more challenging for me, as with a lot of people. So that makes sense that I just want to go into something that I'm more comfortable with. So let me go back. Let me let go of this face and come down here. Okay, so pit of the neck. Sorry guys, I'm like drank too much coffee and I'm kind of ADD right now. So we got the pit of the neck, sternocleidomastoids, and now we're going to do the rhythm for the clavicle, the sweep of the shoulders, you might say. So come down and just place in like a basic little circle for the shoulders for now. And this one is up here because she's got her arm raised up. And now what I'm going to do is use the head from top of the head to the bottom of the chin as one unit of length. So I'm going to use this to measure how tall she is. So I'm going to, with my pencil and thumb, the tip of the pencil, I'm going to hold it up to the image in front of me, and I'm going to find the tip. I'm going to place it at the top of her head, like up here, and then with my thumb, I'll find the bottom of the chin, and then I'm going to start counting down until I get to her toes. So from the first measurement, getting that head length is 1. When you come down, we have 2. And as you go down, you kind of want to take note of where each segment, each measurement falls in relationship to, say, the main landmarks. So like the nipple, the belly button, and the crotch. So just keep an eye on that and kind of make a mental note. So again, with the one head, 2, so 2 is just below the nipple, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So she's about, I might be off a little bit, but I think she's about 7. Let me check that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She's a little bit, I would just say, that's just for easy measurement, let's say 7. So we have 1, we have 2, let's go ahead and make our mark, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, some people don't like this. They think it's like way too methodical. But this is, when you start to do more of these and you get faster and faster, and you'll start to kind of like build up a intuition almost. Like you'll see the size of the head you made and you can tell about where the feet will go. You'll start to be able to do this without measuring, basically. But at first, you kind of want to get the method down, and it helps you a lot, or at least it did for me. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so let me go back and count down to the crotch, how many heads. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's above 4. So in not the Reilly book, but the Loomis book, when he has like an 8 heads high, he'll put the crotch halfway at the 4 mark. It just depends on how you want to do it. Do you want to make an 8 heads high figure no matter what, or do you want to try to get the figure that you're drawing to look like the model? So in our case, we're going to try to get close to the model, maybe a little variation, of course. But so for her here at 4, number 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right here, and we're a little bit above it. So the crotch is going to be somewhere over here on this line. And if we take our pencil here, and let's see if that's halfway. Yeah, it's pretty close to halfway. That's another generic kind of rule of thumb, is that the crotch is halfway between the head and the toe. So now I'm going to use my pencil as a plumb line, as a vertical line, and try to estimate where the crotch is in relationship to the center line of the face. So if I do that, it looks like it's really close to lining up. So we'll just bring it down. So our crotch, or her crotch, is about right here. And you can see, like, at our image here that her leg is overlapping it a little bit, somewhere right here. So when we get to that, we'll just have to keep that in mind. So let's go back now. So now what we did the head, we got the neck, sweep of the shoulders, and now we're going to do the center line of the pose, and she's in a contrapposto pose where the shoulders are at this angle and her hips that are at a contra angle, and that's creating this curve. Really nice dynamic pose, and it's creating this nice curve. And then up here at the AC joints, the very top of the shoulder where it's like a little bony notch, we use that as a reference for this line that we pull through. And these lines you keep super light. I'm going a little bit darker so you can see it, but in general you want to keep them really, really light. And then we can pull this line all the way down to our foot, the back leg, all the way down to the ground. So we got this nice rhythm all the way down through the whole pose. And next what we want to do is use the sides of the neck to go to find the hips. And I think we can actually just pull this one all the way through and use that as that back leg. And all the way down. And she's going to look kind of weird at this point because these lines, these Reilly lines I like to think of them as like a wire frame. And it's gonna look like that. It's gonna look like really weird and odd, but just know that it's a process, and it helps you get in the ballpark much faster. So now I'm gonna do the sweep for the pelvic floor, basically through the crotch. I'm trying to find that angle as pretty close to it. And then, so we had this rhythm we pulled off from the side of the neck. Now we're going to do this one as well. And this one is going to catch that hip rhythm. So something like that. And then, so our hip is out here, right? And then we're going to come over here and overlap, because you can see the leg kind of overlaps that crotch. And let's try to find that angle with our pencil and then come down. So, and then we see the knee kind of goes past this line right here, and then they converge, those two legs. This pose is really cool because both our feet are centered, are lined up together, so it makes like a nice design, basically. And then we'll come over here. Let me clean this up a little bit. And then bring this leg down. So now I'm going to erase those lines from that back leg and the crotch, so you can see that front leg taking the dominant focus here. So okay, so next let's go ahead and put in the rhythm. Before we do the arms, I want to put in the rhythm for the chest. So it's going to be a nice oval. Actually, let's mark about where the belly button is, and that will help us locate the hip and kind of keep everything locked in together. So I'm going to use that unit of measurement, that head, and count down till I find the belly button and see what we got. So I got one head, two just below the nipple. I'm shaky, I can barely hold the pencil. And it looks like it's probably about 3. So we have one head length, 2, and then 3 come across. I think it might be a little higher. So let's bring the belly button to here. So with that, I can kind of see, I'm going to check the angle from the hip bones. Basically well, you can see her hip bone pretty good on that far side. Looks like it's probably at this angle. So now, the reason why I wanted that belly button, because I wanted to compare it to where the rib cage is going to be. And I think it's about right here. So we're going to draw this nice, kind of almost egg shape for her rib cage. Okay, and now I'm going to redefine a little bit more for this demo, that center line, because I need that to show the rib cage, the costal margin, the opening of the rib cage. Because for her it comes out like this. And it's kind of flat right here, and then it has a little, because she's stretching, so that costal margin right here is kind of popping out a little bit. And then let's come over here and draw this other side of the rib cage. That gives us a nice indication. Actually, I'm going to come up here and draw that clavicle. I should have done that earlier for you. And then this clavicle on this side is way up here, so that's a little bit better. So that indicates, because the clavicle comes up here, and then the AC joint, and then the shoulder. So anyway, back to the chest cavity. Got that sketched in. So now I'm going to look at, I want to get the overall, the lats in, the overall shape of the upper body first. And so I'm looking at this angle from her shoulder, the lat on the side comes in, and I think it's like about like this. Let me clean that line up a little bit. Try to keep things light, but it's like really hard because I want it to show up on the camera. I have a new camera actually, and borrowed it from my girlfriend. She's let me test it out, and it's a much higher quality than the other camera I've been using. So hopefully it works. Hopefully you can see it. Let's see. Okay, so now we got that going. Let me. There's all kinds of things you can go off of, but I want to get this contour of this, the hip and the butt, before I place in the arms. And so this rhythm really kind of helps us to lock the figure down. Let's see, here we have that, because this side is the pinching side, this side is the stretching. So the pinching side is going to have like a little bit of a fold in the flesh, in the skin. And then we can come over here for our hip bone. And then the gluteus. And come down here. And then we can get into the anatomy a little bit after. Actually, let's put this in. Okay, I better stop. I'm about to go into the anatomy of it. But I just wanted to get that contour so I can eyeball this negative shape for the arm. So let's do that now. Let's place in the arm using our wire frame. So it looks like it comes down to about right here, and it flares at the elbow. And then she comes to about right here, then that's her wrist. And right now her arm is going to look super thin. That's because we're doing the wire frame, and we're doing it very lightly. And we'll come back and build up that anatomy, so don't worry too much. It's all a process. And for the other arm, it's really nice because she has it almost lined up with her brow line. I'm going to make it so, even though it's not quite exactly that way. So that's the top of that arm. And I'm going to try to find the angle of her bottom arm and eyeball it. It's about right there. And then her wrist, her hand, the top of her hand comes to the side of her face. Such a nice pose. Should probably do this like a full pose sometime, full drawing.
and our finger. And again, looking at that negative space to help us to gauge the placement of our arm here. And the elbow, of course, has that little angle there first. Okay, so looking pretty good. So we got the arms in, head. Now let's go down to the feet before we get into a lot of other stuff on the anatomy. So the feet in general, I like to think of them as almost like the length of the face, maybe a little bit more. So if I take that measurement and come down here, that's the top of the heel. And then kind of rounds down. Actually, before I do that, I should double check with the plumb line to see where that foot is lining up with the head. Because you don't want the foot too far over here, and then she looks like she's falling this way. If it's too far here, she's falling back. So you want to see, especially the weight-bearing leg, you want to see the weight-bearing foot, you want to see where that is in relationship to the center line of her head. Because that's pretty much where the balance comes from, is where her head is. So yeah, it's lined up just perfectly underneath her face. Her toe right there. Okay. So we're looking pretty good, I think, hopefully. So that's our big toe. And then very basic blocky shape. Okay, and then let's do the other foot. And that one comes out at this angle. Let's see, that's a little too high. And kind of sits a little bit in front. Let's see, maybe like this. And the big toe. And the other toes. Okay. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. So we have some of the wireframe that still needs some fleshing out, some anatomy on top of it. So we can come up here and let's do this whole side. Again, this side is pinching, this side is stretching, so we want to keep that in mind. So let me fix this little wedge shape. We have the rib cage is really hard and flat and creates this little edge, and then this flesh of the belly is being pulled, and we have the hip bone right here. So this is like the oblique, and then we have the inguinal ligament, I think it's called, and it kind of, you can see it in the photo, it comes down into the crotch, and let's see, this comes up. So you can kind of build up this rhythm and to help you build up the structure of the body, from going from side to side, and then right off that hip bone it kind of flattens out, stretches again, and then picks up on the sartorius, probably is attached to what right here, and comes down. And here you can probably see, I don't know, the tensor fascia lata probably. Anyway, just follow the contour of that leg. So now we have this really nice stretching going on here. It's going over the bone of the rib cage, and then the abdomen is like stretched nice, and then then it goes over the hip bone again, and then it picks up on more muscle. So you have bone, muscle, bone, muscle. Do a little cleanup on this side. So I'm going to go down into the legs now and kind of build up some of that structure. So we have this crease right here, and then you can see the muscle kind of protruding, creating this kind of wrapping around the abdomen a little bit, and then it comes down. Let me clean that up. And then we go down into the knee. The knee's kind of like a little box, pretty much. And for the leg, I'm going to do, like, you can do this like sweeping motion, the sweeping line for the tibia. But on top of that, you're going to have the tibialis anterior muscle, which flares out a little bit and creates this contour. And then, of course, on the back side, we have the calf. And this foot is on its tippy toe, so that calf is super engaged, super flexed, sitting pretty high. So we can kind of showcase that a little bit. I'm probably making her more muscular than she is, but that's okay. That's just the preference. It's like and also just from showing the muscles and stuff like that, it just, you know how drawing like it really accentuates edges and stuff, but I like that. I like that about drawing. Let's see. So we have the front leg. Let me clean this up a little bit here. I should probably switch to another pencil and kind of use this one up. Oh, one thing about the knee, which I learned recently, and it really hit home for me because I always had trouble trying to find the placement of the knee in relationship to the figure. So I thought the knee was about halfway between the floor, let's say here, and the crotch here. So if that was true, let's see, what would that be about? Let's see, that would be about, let me try to find the halfway here. So that's the halfway mark from the crotch to the floor. And it just never looked right, like the legs looked kind of weird. And then I was watching a sculpting demo on YouTube. I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, but it's I think it's Rick Casali. I'll put a link to his YouTube. Really, really good teacher, and I like to watch his videos because he goes over anatomy and stuff like that. And he was saying that you want to think about the knee at being higher than the halfway mark, and that really helped me. So like we come down here and you can see you can't see the knee, the weight-bearing knee, but you can see that curve right here. That's the pes anserinus. That's where all those muscles wrap right behind the knee. So I can locate the knee by that little piece of anatomy, that little contour. So you can see it's higher than the halfway mark. So that was just a little pearl of wisdom that Rick Casali kind of like gave us in that video. And it was really, really helpful. And hopefully I can get some time someday to start sculpting. That would be really awesome. I used to do some in high school. Nothing to brag about, but it was a lot of fun. It was really hard. A lot harder than drawing. So, okay, so now let's see where we are. We have fleshed out the legs, pretty much the abdomen. Got the upper rib cage going. let's go ahead and, so another thing about Rick Casale, he was talking about, he was doing a figure sculpture, and he would, when he would start to build up the rib cage, he would always put in the pec muscles rather than sculpting the breast without first doing the anatomy underneath it. He would first do the pectoral muscles, and then he would add on the clay to make the breast. And it really added just that extra information, and it looked so much more realistic, and I really liked that. So I started doing that like here, where I don't even think about the breast until I get all this structure in first that's underneath it, and now I'll come in and start to work on the structure of the breast. So to do that, I'm looking at the lat here and where the side of the breast is for reference. So it's about right here. And I'm going to use that pit of the neck. And this is coming from Reilly. He does this. And this rhythm comes down from the pit of the neck and wraps all the way back around. So I'm doing it really lightly and timidly, I can tell. And then to the other side as well, from the pit of the neck. So I get this rhythm to lock those two breasts in on the same plane and rhythm. Boy, I'm really stuffed up today. It was so cold last night, and it started raining. It's raining right now, and I had the heater on all night, and I think it's gotten my allergies all crazy. So I probably sound a little weird. I feel like I do. So we have this very basic rhythm for the breast, and I'm going to take an angle for from nipple to nipple to make sure I got them on the same correct angle, and then come down. So if her nipple is about, let's use that head length again. Yep, okay. And then let's place the nipple about right here. And let me find the angle to the other one. And it's about right there. So I just took an angle from nipple to nipple. And so let's take this rhythm here from the armpit, the pec, that comes down, that flows into this rhythm. Then we have the lat, you can see on the far side, and maybe some of the teres major, minor, well, maybe not minor, but definitely the lat going into the armpit there. And then let's build up this. Let's start putting muscle on her upper body. So her shoulder comes down. Then we see the trapezius on that side. It's kind of funny. It's like, it's so hard to draw and talk at the same time. And I don't even know what I just said for like the last 20 minutes. Hopefully it's informative. Let's see. So I'm just going to do a very blocky shape for the hand, because this is just a lay-in. So let's come up here to this shoulder. This trapezius comes down. And what are we on, like 30 minutes now? Okay. And then let's build up some of that tricep. See the armpit here. I didn't even put the pec in on that side. So there's the pec, there's the armpit. The elbow flares out. And we got some forearm muscles here. We got that styloid process of the ulna. that little bump right there. And you got the eye of the elbow. I forgot what that was called right here. There's a name for this fossa area. I forgot the name though. No matter. Just know that there's like a little triangle-ish kind of shape in this elbow. Let's come over here. Kind of show that. I don't want to make her two muscles. Make her like a bodybuilder, which is cool. Female bodybuilders are really fun to draw because they're so lean but so defined. So for anatomy lessons, that's where to go. Let's go back over this breast here. I was trying to make this one look a little like flatten out on, because it's sitting on that rib cage, and kind of want to show that, but I think it might be too much of a detail to even show in this little demo. I think we're doing pretty good. Coming up on the end actually. So I hope this helped. It's kind of hard to do this at the same time as describing it, but that's just because I'm outside my comfort zone with compared to like portraits. But let's do her ear right here. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave her face just like a mannequin, and we'll. So you can also show like the wrapping of the forms, like the mother forms, like the cylinders, and then of course the knee is like this block. Okay, I think that's it. I don't want to go too much more into it because I just want to keep it very just on the Reilly method. And basically what we did, we started with the head, basic head shape, and then we think of the head as one unit of measure, and using that as a measuring tool, we can count down to the toes and find out how many heads high she is. And then from there, we can start to find the landmarks like the nipple, the belly button, the crotch, and we got the head, the chin right here. So these landmarks are really important to help guide you in placing the rhythms, the Reilly rhythms, like the center line and down to the crotch. And remember to, another trick is to use your pencil as a plumb line, as a vertical line, and try to relate like things like the weight-bearing foot and like the crotch to the relationship to where the head is. So that's a really good point for balance. So your figure looks like she's standing and she's not falling one way or the other. So I hope that helped, guys. Let me know, and I'll keep working on these for the Figure Fridays. I'm really excited about those because I really need practice myself. So draw along with me, and we'll get better together. I like that, better together. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching. Bye.